Round one, fight.
And that's the bottom line.
And his kick is good.
I need a weapon.
You cannot escape.
You forget 1,000 things every day. How about you make sure this is one of them?
Here we go.
It's time for the main event.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Single Player Experience Podcast, the premium podcast where single player gamers can find about good single player games to play. And as always, I'm your host, Sebastian Mauldin, and joining me today, he is the Jimmy to my Jey Uso. He is the Hulkamania to my Road Warrior. He is the, I guess you could say, the Randy Savage to my Elizabeth. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, he's from Boss Rush Network. He's Josh Martinez. Josh, how you doing today?
Good. You know, I'll take that over being the Triple H to your Rock. So
that's a good point. That's a good point. You know, when I was like randomly thinking about those, I was about to say he's like the Nate to my like Arn Anderson, but I was worried I wasn't going to be able to say Arn Anderson very well, so I kind of skipped over that part. But anyways, how you doing today, man? Everything's good?
oh, it's good. It's been cold. I mean, as we were talking before the show, I'm up in Utah. I live up in the mountains, and just been cold. I spent the weekend last week, actually the whole last week, up at a ski resort near Salt Lake City. And it was so bad that my minivan, I have a minivan buried in snow. Like,
God.
it's just, yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. I'm from Southern California. We moved here to Utah when I was 11, so 2002. And I've gotten used to it. I've kind of moved around a little bit in those 23 years, but I've come to grow to know this place, but I still can't beat the Southern California, or I lived in Phoenix for 4 years. This cold beats me every single time.
Those are different types of cold too, though. You know, like you get over there to the Utahs of the world, even Nevada can get, you know, a bit colder as well. But I was like, they chill you to the bone, man. It's like, no, it's different type.
It's nuts because, so I've lived in Texas for a little bit, and they've got a different kind of cold. The wind blows constantly. So here with the mountains, it'll stop the wind. You get like gusts and then stop, gusts and then stop. But out there in Texas, where I was at, constant wind blowing to the point that you could wear 3 different layers, cut you right to the bone. Just cold. Yeah. Utah's cold is more of a just like you're sitting in a freezer type cold. So it's, I don't
know if that's worse or better, if I'm being honest.
It depends on the now with everything with it being a little bit warmer than it has been in past years, it's not too bad. But when I was in high school, I'd go, and maybe a little TMI, but I'd walk to the bus stop and my nose hairs froze, like legit frozen. So yeah, it's wild, and it depends on the year. I mean, the mountains always get it worse than we do, but still, it's a fun thing. It's the one thing I miss about Phoenix. I'll put up with that 120 degree heat so I don't have to deal with this winter.
I feel you on that. I'm in Dallas, Texas, and yeah, it's cold. Like, I think today we got down to about 8 degrees, and it's like you said, it's that wind, man. That wind was cutting me to the bone. Every time, like, and my dog's like, I call my dog like Kendrick Lamar level of petty, because like he's like, well, you don't want to go out on a walk. Well, I'm gonna go ring the door, and you're gonna have to take me outside, because that's his calling to say I have to go outside to potty. And he did that like 6 times today, and he'd like fake like raise his leg like he was going to use the bathroom, and then just walk back inside. Like nothing happened. Nothing came about that trip. And it was just cold every single time I took him out today.
We brought my dog from Phoenix, so he was already mad at us for that. Mm-hmm. He was born in San Antonio, so we got a rescue. So he's somehow made his way from San Antonio over to Phoenix. And as soon as we would come up here, because my family still lived in Utah, even though I was in Phoenix, and my wife's family. But once we made it a permanent thing, he did not forgive us for a year. He was like, what did you do to me? And now he's okay with it, but he doesn't love it. But he's now getting old, so now his joints are creaking, and he's all mad at the cold. So I don't blame him. But he's, you know, he puts up with it. But he was mad at us there for a good year.
Well, you know, there's something that a lot of people aren't mad about right now, and that's the world of pro wrestling. And, you know, this is a gaming podcast. I want to dive into a special episode where we're talking about WWE 2K and the world of wrestling as it is right now, sort of combine that into a special episode here. You know, I I want I don't know where I want to take this episode first because like there's so many interesting things to talk about. Like on the
Mhm.
2K side of the fence, like there's excitement there, there's trepidation there, there's worry there. On the WWE side, there's excitement there. It's WrestleMania season, and
Mhm.
we're starting to see the card kind of fill out a little bit. On AEW side, is this like a resurgence back to the highs of AEW, or is this kind of still in that lull period? Yeah, so Josh, I want to ask you, how do you feel so far out of those three topics? What's sparking your interest out of those big three?
I'm gonna say let's jump into WWE right now because
Okay.
here's the thing, and maybe you relate to this. I don't have a lot of friends who I can chat to, so I've been building up all these thoughts. I've got all these things. My wife sits there and rolls her eyes when I'm trying to vent those. There, the Boss Rush team puts up with my nonsense. So no, I've got thoughts spilling out right now. So
Okay, let's go. I've been on it.
yeah, so I mean, I think my biggest thing is if we're gonna jump into some because there's so much around there, but in terms of the WrestleMania buildup, it's so different than last year. That's the biggest thing I've noticed is that last year this time, and sure the schedule's adjusted because WrestleMania is a little bit later than it was in previous years, being in the
Yeah,
middle
for
of
sure.
April. Um, but by now, last year, we knew the main story going in
Hmm.
between The Rock, Cody, and Roman. Like we were already in the midst of that. We were sitting there questioning what to work and what to shoot. And this time around, and I think I don't know quite how I feel about it, but we have two matches, or for sure one match, and the second match we'll find out here in a couple weeks after the Elimination Chamber. But other than that, there's not much that's solidified for this card at
I
this
think two
point.
matches are the only thing that's confirmed, right?
Yep.
The two Royal Rumble winner matches, and that's
Mm-hmm.
basically it.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, last year, here's my thoughts, and you can kind of tell me what you think about this. Is like last year felt almost like their Avengers Endgame, the big culmination story of like a of a mainline story in WWE that'd been going on for the better half of you can argue 5 to 6 years, the Vince era and later and early on in the Triple H era, but then like now you got like it feels almost like the phase four of that story, so to speak. It feels like they've had their in game moment and now they're starting back over and starting to build the groundworks to what we're going to see later on. And it's an interesting thing because like this is more the lines of like a traditional WrestleMania, like as far as like new storylines. For there's not a reoccurring year-long story unless they do like Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. That'll be like one of the only year-long stories, but it's almost like the only part of that in-game like WWE story that is continuing on into this new chapter is the story of Jey Uso. But
Mm-hmm.
everything else is pretty much new. So yeah, it's such a weird time in WWE. It's intriguing though.
And one of the things too, I think Triple H does this really well, is he can weave together multiple storylines.
Hmm.
So before, one of the things under Vince was if two superstars were locked in a storyline, they didn't interact much with the rest of the
Yeah,
roster. They were kind of on their own. Maybe you'd get a little bit of crossover, but not much. The way that Triple H tells his stories, which is really intriguing to me, is you can have, like, leading up to Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, for example, you had Kevin Owens and Randy Orton still kind of floating there. You had Cody and Kevin having
yeah,
issues. You had Cody still interacting with the bloodline. That's three different stories that Cody interacted with, all part of kind of he's created a universe that everything's operates in. Nobody lives on an island by themselves unless you're Roman Reigns and you living on the island of relevancy. Um, but like everything overlaps with it with everything, and I think you saw that with the way that Kevin and Cody ends at the Royal Rumble. You bring out Sammy, now those two are feuding, but Kevin still has his issues with Cody, just they're not focusing on that now. And Randy's still there somewhere. We
yeah,
still
for
got
sure.
Randy Orton somewhere who can pop in at any moment. So it's cool to me to see the way he tells these stories is how everything interacts with each other and how we get longer overarching stories while also little macro stories in those. Because I think the only thing I think I disagree with you a little bit coming out of last year's WrestleMania is I think Cody's been on a year long story. And
That's a good point.
I think that that story is Cody saying, because look at the end of 40. Everyone came out. Every babyface in the company came out. They're lifting him up. They were celebrating with him. And now here we are a year later, and Kevin's betrayed him. Kevin was out there with him.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rollins has had some words with him for teaming with Roman Reigns. Randy Orton couldn't take his eyes off of that championship while he was healthy. He just
That is a good
watched
point.
that. So the story, in my opinion, is Cody realizing what it means to be champ, and that sure, you have friends and they're celebrating you, but are they celebrating you because they're happy for you, or are they celebrating that Roman's now relinquished his title and all these people who got chances, they now can come after you to get that title?
You know what
I
they say?
think
It's lonely at the top.
exactly, and CM Punk said as much. He
Mm-hmm.
told him a couple weeks ago in a promo. He said that it changed me, and if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong on this, CM Punk's one of the few to turn heel as WWE champion at some point in his career. Not many have done that.
Not many, yeah.
So CM Punk, in terms of speaking about the past, he knows. So I see that this story, because people have complained, oh, Cody hasn't had a big overarching story. I think it's been there, whether they've stumbled into it or it's been the plan from the beginning. It's there. And I think you saw it too, because when Jay came out and kind of teased that I'm going to come after you, Cody, for this title, Cody got a look on him like, you too?
Yeah.
When Kevin's gone now, Sammy's upset at me. Seth is upset at me. Now you're coming after me, Jay? I think that that's the story that's kind of carried over with Cody, that we've seen just a slow burn over the year. That kind of takes a minute. You have to step back to see that.
Do you feel like this is, I love that because I think you're spot on there. Do you feel like this is like, they call him Cody Homelander, like that slow burn of him turning heel, that slowly disintegrating madness that everyone's speculating? Do you feel like that's close to happening, or you feel like we're still at the very forefront of that slow heel turn?
See,
if
and
there is one.
That's the tough thing, because one of the things too that Triple H has done well is he shows that there's shades. Like there's no clear cut. It's not Attitude Era where there's like everyone's operating in that gray area, but like there's people who show emotions. There's people who get upset but they don't ultimately break up, which is a normal feeling. If me and my friend are going to be doing something together, we're naturally just going to get mad at each other at some point, but then we're going to work it out because we're friends. Sometimes we don't, sometimes we do. So in terms of Cody, I think we still got some time till a turn. I think we got a lot of meat on the bone of him as a babyface champion. We still got Randy coming out, because I think the question is, or the thought is, Randy's going to go back heel, and that could lead into a potential John Cena program later in the year in his retirement tour, I think. But
so yeah, this is crazy, man. What do you think would go for Mania though?
With Cody right now, see, here's the tough one, because I thought Roman was going into the chamber, but with him being out, because I thought we were going to see a CM Punk Rollins Roman match at Mania, and we still could, because I think that favor is going to come into play, that Heyman owes Punk. Because I think that they teased us, and this is what I want to see really bad, is a Roman and Rollins match. I think they teased that in the Rumble. I think they got Rollins kind of showing that little gray area, because I think he's still, well, they're both baby faces, I guess. So, and all three would be baby faces. So I don't know where you go there, but I think that those two are going to lock horns, and then CM Punk's going to work his way in there using that favor, because how could you not put Roman Reigns at, and they're going to do the thing where they put like 3 different main events, like where each night has like 2 or 3 main events, where you have 6 main events, so you could get all that in. But so that way CM Punk can get his main event. But anyway, yeah, it's hard to see, but I really want to see a Rollins Roman at least Mania match.
If that triple threat happens, then I think the door is open for Cena, and Cody, right?
I think so. And I think here's the thing with Cena, because clearly the way they're going is, by the end of the year, he'll have his 17th championship. I don't doubt that in my mind. But I don't think it's going to happen at Mania.
I don't either.
I think the story for him is he's going to have to work for it. So maybe a SummerSlam type thing. Maybe he wins a Money in the Bank and he cashes in. But I kind of see them wanting Cena to win it, not a Money in the Bank style, like win it straight up. So I see maybe a SummerSlam, and then he has a couple month run toward the end. drops it at Survivor Series, and then they go into whatever they do for the rest of the year. That's kind of where I see them going. So I could see him winning the Elimination Chamber, but then losing to Cody
I can see that.
as they kind of build toward, because you saw a little bit after the Royal Rumble, a very uncharacteristic John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out, he says, what's best for business is me in the Rumble or me in the Chamber. I'm going in the Chamber. No qualifying match, no nothing. He's there. And that was a little bit of an edge we haven't seen from him in a while.
It
so
had a
I
little
think
rock edge to it. I like that.
it did. It really did. And so that's why I think that he's going to come up on some disappointments in the early part of this year. He'll put on a great match. He'll have a great one with Cody. We're going to see some confliction with Cody still. But I think we're going in the direction of Cena and Cody at WrestleMania, and for that WWE Championship.
Plus, I think WWE wants Cena to pass that babyface torch to Cody as well.
Because we haven't had a pure white meat babyface in arguably, I mean, you could say Cena, but like a pure babyface probably since pre-Attitude Era, like where it's like there's no levels of gray in him, but now Cody's showing his levels of gray. So
yeah, and I mean, I think they can have their cake and eat it too, because I'm like as now Cody becomes that levels of gray guy, Jey Uso could be that like clear fans love him babyface. You know, it's like if they play this well, they can have both sides of the fence there. I want to ask you though, like, so if let's pencil in a WrestleMania card here. Because I think that's been pretty fun so far. Like, okay, so we got Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte. We have Gunther and Jey Uso. We have are we penciling in Cena and Cody?
I'm gonna go that way. Yeah.
Okay. So Cena and Cody, and then triple threat between Rollins, Reigns, because I bet Reigns is going to be there. Or do you feel like Punk's getting another match somewhere?
See, that's the tough one. But they've been teasing this favor for a while now. Like when he got it initially after Survivor Series, we didn't hear much about it. But after the new year, they started talking about it more and more. So I think that's going to come into play for WrestleMania. So that's why I think they put him into a triple threat there. Because he has issues with both. He has history with both. It would make for some great storytelling.
I hope they add a stake to it, because I love the match. But I think, like, if you want to cash in a favor, you don't do it for, and you know, because his big thing is he's won the main event at WrestleMania. So I'm like, I think like the favor has to come in a bigger way than just getting in on just a triple threat match at WrestleMania. It feels like the favor needs to be something of a grander magnitude. If they said the triple threat match is for the main event of SummerSlam, like the winner gets that almost like King of the Ring, old school King of the Ring, like guaranteed title match at SummerSlam, then it means a whole lot more other than just a grudge match. It feels like the favor has to come in on a bigger moment is what I'm saying.
Right. And where I can go with that is just it being a main event for WrestleMania, but I do think there has to be something. Maybe it's Backlash, maybe it's all the way to SummerSlam. They've tied it, and Backlash has become so much bigger in recent years since they've been doing them on the foreign markets.
That France one was amazing.
Well, and that one was great. The Puerto Rico one was amazing. I'm all for it. If they just keep doing these in the foreign market, outside of the United States, outside of Canada, I'm all for that. And so that gives Backlash a bigger feel than just, well, this is the follow-up, the epilogue to WrestleMania. It has more stakes. You do something at WrestleMania that the winner of that match could go on to Backlash, or even I'd be okay with SummerSlam too.
I'm fine with both, yeah.
Yeah, so I do think that's a good way to go, because that's the tough part is there's only so many championships around. And so it comes down to Punk. Is it more important to main event WrestleMania, or is it more important to main event and get something out of it? Because it feels empty, like you said, if it's just a main event and there's nothing really attached to it other than a middle finger to Rollins and Reigns.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's crazy too, because like that's a big profile match. It just feels like Punk's already had that. You know, it's like that to me. Like the favor to me would have been like a Undertaker streak match. Oh, like that's the only equivalent to a title. You know, like and if there's no Undertaker around at that point, you know, it doesn't feel like that favor needs to be cashed in at that time. I want to ask you though, like we got a lot of card to fill out. Intercontinental Championship. Who do you feel? You feel like Braun Breaker's going all the way there, or you feel like they're going to take the title off him before Mania?
No, I think he keeps it to Mania. I mean, he's clearly the future. They've already teased a Jacob Fatu Braun Breaker program that could. I think Heyman said on Impulsive on Logan Paul's podcast that's the future. They're looking at the future with that kind of a matchup. So they are going to want to build Braun, which they've already done a fantastic job at building him. He looks like $1 million. Fatu has looked like something otherworldly. And so I think that they keep building Braun for something there. I don't know though, because they've teased a lot of different things with him. Like recently on SmackDown, AJ Styles has come out as a opponent. We still got Elimination Chamber, so maybe that fizzles out before Mania, but he's got a couple different options. I think he keeps the title to Mania, and if he's going to lose it, it would be at Mania, I think, only for him to get it back. I don't see him having a Gunther-like reign. Like, I think I see him holding on to it for a while, but he's had it since, what was that? Was it Bad Blood or was it Survivor Series? He picked it back up off of Jay.
It was one of those two, and yeah, it was quick. He lost it like, 2 weeks prior to that, so it was a very quick run for Jey Uso, and very quick reuniting with the title for him. So yeah, I completely agree. My thing is like I think they do like the loose tradition that they've been doing in WrestleMania, where they put it up in a ladder match or multi-man style match. And I think that way, if you take the title off of him, it doesn't diminish any of his shine. It was just he wasn't involved in the pin scenario. Like I think I guess to me, I think you put like AJ Styles, Ludwig, I would probably say Braun Breaker, Sheamus, because the big goal for Sheamus is winning the IC title, the title he's never won before. And then maybe a couple of other guys in there. You throw in a couple of other ones in there, and you kind of let them fight over either in a ladder match or something similar of that ilk. And that way, if you do feel like it's time to take the title off of Breaker to give Sheamus a big moment at WrestleMania, or if you want to like really rile up the crowd, give Dirty Dom that title at WrestleMania, like I feel like that would be the perfect moment. I think I kid you not, Dirty Dom is like that person to where if Triple H loves a heel too, I could see that moment being like one of those. He's like, yeah, I think I want to pull the trigger on that.
You see how much Trips has faith in Dom, because look at the Royal Rumble. The last, I don't know, 8 were just star after star after star, and then here comes Dirty Dom. And it was clear, like he's clearly not at that. He's meant to look like he's not at the level with them, although he is. But the way that he held his own, like he's sitting there trying to bargain with Roman Reigns in the Rumble. I'm like, this kid can go off and do Intercontinental. He can do mid-card stuff. He can hang with the top of the card and look good, get the reaction that he needs. So, I mean, just seeing him for that short little time in the Rumble tells me that they could stick him wherever they need to, and they're going to get a reaction. If they stick the title on him, honestly, I wouldn't hate it. I think it would be a fantastic way. I would be furious, but that's because I've become so invested in hating this character. And it's just, he just cracks me up. He's such a good, I know I'm supposed to hate him, but man, I'm a Dirty Dom fan.
I am too. He's won me over, man. And then like, imagine he's the only person in Judgment Day with a title now. And then like, that makes him kind of like the quasi leader of Judgment Day. I'm like, and he's been talking about we need a new member, and Finn's been constantly failing over and over again. It could be the full cycle moment of of the turn where like Finn gets turned on, just like they turned on every other founding member of Judgment Day. It finally becomes Finn Balor's turn, and the Intercontinental Champion Dirty Dom Mysterio is the one that the one who introduces whatever NXT call up you want to throw at. He's the new member of Judgment Day. JD's coming back. You're out, and then it's all that gang up. Sal, and I'm like, and then Finn is now the baby face before his contract probably runs out soon, and then I'm like, he comes back and he's like the one fighting Judgment Day. It just feels like a full circle moment, and it gives the Intercontinental title a story to be revolved around.
Well, and I think the fun thing about Judgment Day is that we've got to go back to the history. Finn Liv and AJ were all fighting them originally. And now two of the three are part of it. Liv being such a key part of it. It's funny because when Edge introduced that group, I was not sold on it. I was
Me
like,
neither.
they're trying something. I like the pairing. I just don't like how it's coming across. But man, did they revamp that. And I mean, if you listen to interviews, Edge says that the best thing they could have done was kick him out of the group, because
Yeah.
he was saying that the way that came about was Cody was injured, Randy was still out. They didn't have baby faces, so they needed to move Edge back to babyface, and that just kind of ended what he was maybe trying to do with that group. But once they kind of got off of that, they took off. I mean, it made stars out of both Damien and Rhea. Dom got a big
Yeah.
rub from that. I mean, you could argue that Liv was already a star as it is, but she's benefited from being so I would say more that they've benefited from having her around than she has from them. But they've
Oh, yeah,
all
for sure.
they've all just, oh man, it's just such a good story with them, especially from something that I had no faith in when it started.
In the same way, I thought this group was, I'm gonna be honest, was heading towards retribution status, to where I was just like, this is getting cringe and cringe fast. And yeah, now I can see this as like a Hall of Fame group, to where like they've stuck around for so long. There's so many iterations of Judgment Day, and they've had success to back it up. You've had a World Heavyweight Championship around that group, multiple time reigns with the women's championship across several members. You had tag team titles, championships, a North American title associated with that group. So I'm like, it's a legacy group at this point. Like, there's so many kids who are probably going to look at Judgment Day as their DX. That's crazy to me.
Well, and you can't forget, R-Truth was half of the tag team titles when he was running around there. That's the thing. They can be so serious and menacing, and then you throw an R-Truth in there trying to sell their merchandise and cracking Damian Priest at every corner. It's just, they're such a versatile group. It was just, I'm so surprised at what they're able to do. So, I mean, you could argue that the stories around them have kind of gone a little bit stale, but just the members still make that work so well for them. And I mean, like I said, you've got your seriousness with Finn, but then you've got like Goofy Carlito running around. You have R-Truth continually claiming he was a member of the Judgment Day and that JD wasn't. It's such a versatile group. That's the thing is, I mean, you could see a little bit of comedy in the Bloodline when Sammy was around, but with Judgment Day, they could go full comedy, they could go full seriousness, and never lost a shine. And they just did so well with it. And yeah, like, I look so fondly back on that R-Truth little run that he had.
He was selling t-shirts. and giving Priest a cut of the shirt when he got bad.
The best one was he made that like video where he's remembering his time, and he's like saying how, like, ever since we were babies, we were in the Judgment Day, and it shows a baby, and they drew a beard on the Finn baby. It just was so funny.
So, Josh, we were talking about the Intercontinental situation. You feel the same way, multi-man match, or do you have something penciled in a little differently there?
No, I when we started, I didn't know where to go with that one. I liked the idea of a multi-man match because Braun needs all the shine he can get. And if you're looking to make a change, I think a multi-man match is the best, especially if you want to give Sheamus his moment. That would be a great spot to give him his moment. You could start teasing Braun, because that's another thing. You could tease Braun with a lot of different other people to move him forward, because he'll likely chase after Sheamus for that title, but he already has a rivalry with Jey Uso, and if Jey Uso wins the heavyweight title, then I could see a Braun Breaker Jey Uso at the top. Whether he gets that or not is a different story, but you have options with him, with or without the title. And so I do think, though, that if he keeps it, he would still benefit greatly. It wouldn't feel like it's run its course. I think we could go either way on this one. And I think people would be okay with it. I would be okay with it, at least. So
I'm the same way. What do you, so like on the other side of the fence, the United States Championship, you feeling multi-man on that one as well, or you got a match in mind?
Oh man, that's a tough one, because I could see. Yeah, I don't know, because I don't know if you want to do a multi-man for both of the mid-card titles. I think Intercontinental would be the one to do it. I think the problem is the U.S. titles just kind of felt like
God,
the least of the four.
yeah. It's always the cursed title though. Unless Cena's holding it, it always feels like the title left out.
And that's the thing is, I like this version of Shinsuke. There's some things you could do with it, but they just. I was watching SmackDown the other night, and I totally forgot that he had the title to begin with.
Same here. Same here. I was like, oh yeah, there's like Shinsuke has the title now, and I completely forgot about that. It's almost like on the other side of the fence on the women's like intercontinental. I completely forgot Lyra Valkyria won the title. Was the inaugural champion. I remember Chelsea Green because they stick her on TV every single week, and I like that. Whether or not you argue like the matches are good or are great, that's another discussion. But she's entertaining enough that they keep her on the forefront of your mind each week.
And that's what you should do in that title, because a lot of people criticize the decision to go to mid-card women's titles, but that women's division's been so stacked lately that they need more spots to highlight a lot of the competitors and have them move between, have some sort of a progression, because NXT's got a very stacked division with people ready to start coming up, I think.
God, it's so stacked.
Who's already there. It's just they needed something to give more incentive to some of those matches. So yeah, I think that Chelsea's done a fantastic job with that, and they're doing this a little bit similar because the Intercontinental Men's Championship has always been seen as like the tough guy belt. Like Braun's held it, Gunther's held it, Sheamus has gone after it. It's just it's a tough one. It's like like you said, the workhorse belt. I see them trying to do that with the women's Intercontinental, and I think they need a little bit more to build that one up because Chelsea's done such a great job at being entertaining with the U.S. Title that honestly, I'd love to see her hold on to that longer. She's so good with it.
I hope the United States with Chelsea Green just continues on for as long as they can. Because I feel like they're going to do Piper versus her at Mania. And I feel like it feels so soon for that feud.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, it would be entertaining. They could she could put on a fantastic 5-star match, or she can put on a comedic match, and I would be here for all of it. I mean, she's so good at what she does. Like, when she came back and she was like eliminated in 8 seconds in the Royal Rumble, I'm like, she's different. Like, I don't know. I didn't know who she was, and there's my ignorance, but I was like, I like her. She made that impression.
Yeah.
And then she had that ongoing feud with Michael Cole and with it was Adam Pearce, I believe.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they shipped her over to SmackDown, and Adam Pearce is like, yeah, you're Nick Aldis's problem now. Don't bother me anymore. And just, she's been so good. So, I mean, I agree. It feels soon to do Piper Niven, but I think that's a great way to go. I mean, they can't stay together forever.
Yeah, and I can't, unless you want to give Selena Vega the big moment, or at least the big feud at WrestleMania, because I'm like, I know she's campaigned for, like, something to do. I'm like, I could see them doing, the four women's, match between Piper, her, Michin, and Selena Vega at Mania. But I can also see it being a straight up personal feud between her and Selena. I mean, her and Piper Niven as well. On the women's Intercontinental side, are they going to go like multi women ladder match on both sides of the fence there?
They might. I mean, like we said, I forget that Lyra Valkyria holds it. I think she's amazing, but I forget that she's there. So I don't know, because I mean, you could run back Dakota Kai, but she's busy elsewhere too. That's when I don't know. I mean, when I don't know, I say throw them into a multi-person ladder match, because
roster's that stacked. It becomes the obvious answer. And like, the crazy thing is like, only one woman is going on to fight Rhea Ripley at that point for her title. So after you eliminate all the other 5 women in the Elimination Chamber, some of those people are going to need something to do. And I almost rather them give shine and prestige to the Intercontinental or the U.S. title, rather than, unfortunately, what I equate as like the worst championship in WWE is the women's like tag team titles, because there's no division.
right.
It's just randomness. So I'm like, I'd rather though they get like launched into a program around that title, make it as prestigious as you possibly can, rather than, we're going to have like 8 mishmash tag teams that we barely see on television fight for a and you know they're going to stick that in the like the early part of that card if they even make the main card. They might be the pre-show of that.
And that's something that you can look at the Triple H era, and if you could point to anything that you could criticize, it would be that the tag divisions aren't as stacked as
No, they're dead.
I mean, you get some moments. You had some fun with DIY for a little bit. You had some fun with R-Truth and The Miz, but I mean, we see the Street Profits come out every now and then. They disappear.
Yeah.
I do like they seem to try, because I do love the Motor City Machine Guns, but again, they don't do much with it. And like you said, the women's side in particular, they have Bianca Belair and Naomi holding titles, and you don't remember that ever. Like they've got a story building around it with the Who Attacked Jade Cargill, which I think it's Bianca. I think Bianca going heel, but
So too. I think so too.
She looked relieved when when Aldis showed that video and there was Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Bianca looked relieved. I'm like, they're gonna make this a Bianca jealous of Jade storyline, and hopefully that would get her out of the tag division and put her back where I think she shines the most, which is in singles competition.
I think so too. I also like have noticed that Bianca Belair, like when she comes out, like to her song, she's been emphasizing the first part of her interest music where it says "I'm on my own," and I was like, oh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
You're setting the seeds there. I'm on my own against the wall, and I'm like, yeah, I like that. And we haven't seen heel Bianca in like what, almost since NXT at this point. It's been so long.
We haven't seen heel Bianca on the main roster because she got pushed pretty quickly up into that or Mercedes Moné. She was Sasha Banks at the time at WrestleMania 38 or 37, whatever that match was.
For sure.
She got pushed pretty quickly there. She might have done a little bit as a heel. It's that like heel run that if she did, we all forget about it the same way we forget that John Cena was a heel for the first couple of years of his WWE run, even though that's arguably one of the more entertaining versions of Cena.
Yeah, word life. This is basic thugonomics.
But yeah, if we've seen her as a heel on the main roster, it's been very short. So it would be a great time to move her there, because now that Rhea's over full face right now, I think Tiffany, if she hasn't officially, she'll be a face for that match at WrestleMania with Charlotte Flair.
People are going to boo Charlotte.
And that's the thing is, I think up until that attack, I think Tiffany was still considered a heel, but people were cheering her. And if there's one thing that Triple H has done well, it's he's matched the card. So like you don't have people booing like they did John Cena, who's supposed to be the man, and everyone's booing him, or Roman Reigns wins the Royal Rumble 10 years ago and everyone booed him out of Philadelphia. We're kind of past that, to the point where they tend to listen to the fans to match up the sentiment, and you want to cheer for the good guys, you want to boo the bad guys. And now that they're cheering Tiffany, I'm like, it's a matter of time if they haven't already moved her to a babyface. So that would open up some room for some top heels on the women's side, that Bianca could fill that very nicely.
What do you do with the tag titles at Mania? Obviously, I think they're going 3, like a triple threat tag team match of some sort with DIY, Street Profits, and Motor City Machine Guns. You feel the same way, or you feel like there's going to be a different story there?
I mean, that's a tough one, just because that there's not much of a story around there.
No.
I mean, I do like this new edge that the Street Profits have been showing. They've kind of gone that, and we haven't even talked about the New Day, but they've kind of gone that little route. They've gone that way that the New Day have, just not as obnoxious about it. They've just kind of we're tired of being forgotten. So you've got a heel DIY, you've got a heel Street Profits, and you got a face Motor City Machine Guns. I think if you move the title, that would be a great spot to do it. Give it back to the Motor City Machine Guns, upset the Street Profits further, and maybe you enter Motor City Machine Guns and Street Profits feud to keep some semblance alive in that tag division. So that's what I would do there, because that's a big signing that they brought over. They want to capitalize on that. Oh man, I just was about to bring up Penta. Like the way that they brought Penta over and made him really shine, despite being in the tag division, they've helped the Motor City Machine Gun shine a little bit. But now would be the time to push that further if you want to rejuvenate that tag division because it's still very small. You need something to go, and I think a good feud between Street Profits and Motor City Machine Guns might be what you need to get that going.
You mentioned I'm sorry to change the subject here, but
No,
like
you're
you
good.
mentioned Penta like a second ago. I fully, I didn't bring him up, but I in my head as soon as you said it, I'm like, oh, that's the Intercontinental like ladder match to where like you can protect him. He can get like a couple of great spots in, be like hit a like a Salida del Sol like move off the ladder, get his like incredible moment, like viral moment in. He doesn't eat a loss, so he still stays undefeated. And then you can, whether or not you keep the title on Breaker or you take it off, like he's protected in that moment. Because I don't think you give him a singles match.
No, I mean, we're still in this building, Penta, and the crowd fully behind him. I'm fully behind him. I'm fully behind any luchador out there. But with him, he's one that I think if you're going to throw Ludwig in there, build that feud. I want to see that feud some more. They've teased it with the Royal Rumble. They had a match on Raw after Royal Rumble. I think there's definitely some room to be there. And the way that, like I said, with Triple H, he does these stories that intersect. You could still keep a Ludwig Braun Breaker thing going, but maybe you get Penta his first real story with Ludwig, and then you have Breaker looming off to the side somewhere to come in there, whether he's with the champ or not. I don't know, but I think Penta's ready for a story.
And I think introduced Pete Dunne in the equation, like on Monday. Yeah.
And that's the thing. You could put him in. You have him start the Royal Rumble, and he lasts over half the time, and just looks like a star. I mean, they're going to build him. They're going to take some time to get there. But if you're going to move forward on the narrative, maybe you get him his big singles match at SummerSlam, but start it at WrestleMania. Whether that's Ludwig, whether that's Pete Dunne, heck, you could even do maybe a Braun Breaker program. Whatever you do with there, you have the options to do that, and that could come out of a multi-man intercontinental match.
Yeah,
you could tease all of that, and you could do that. Give Sheamus his moment. You could tick off Braun, and then he maybe takes his frustration out on Ludwig. He takes it out on Penta. Penta's here to just disrupt. I mean, I love when he throwing the Cero Miedo in everyone's face. That in Braun's face.
I think that's the perfect thing, though. I think you can have your cake and eat it too. You can highlight the multi-man ladder match, for instance, Intercontinental. You can have 8. Like I think Zack Ryder won it when it was 8 people at his WrestleMania moment. But you can have that 6 to 8 people in here. No one looks bad because no one eats a pinfall. They still are protected. Sheamus could win it, or Braun Breaker. I would probably say Sheamus because I think the night after, if he's healthy enough, or like very quickly after, if he's healthy enough, you have what's his name, the big guy did the tsunamis, Bronson Reed.
Yes.
Yeah, you have Bronson Reed just show up Monday night after Raw if he was like healthy enough, and then like hit Sheamus with like 8 tsunamis and hold that title up, and then that immediately gets Sheamus into another program, but like and probably gets a lot of these other stars ready for the draft. But like there's so much other things you can like do with this stacked roster here.
And
have we missed any titles? I think we got like pretty much all the major
all the titles, but we got some big names that we still haven't. LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, because that's the thing. Drew McIntyre, that man had a heck of a 2024, and he came out of that looking like $1 million out of that feud, even though he lost it to CM Punk. Drew McIntyre is something else. That's the one. I don't know where you put him. He's not going to go for a title. I don't think he goes for the title. So whatever match he's in, there's probably going to be some stakes, but it's going to be a non-title match. But that dude, wherever you put him, and they've teased. That's the thing. They've teased some stuff with LA Knight. They've teased some stuff with Damian Priest, who's another guy we haven't mentioned, where he could go on this.
Maybe that's the feud. Priest and McIntyre again.
Well, because Priest eliminated McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. You saw that face. Then I don't know how much you get into the dirt sheets, but then there's the reports that McIntyre was upset because somebody was getting their stuff in. And then that was believed to be LA Knight. And then they did a wink, wink, nod, nod at the camera the next SmackDown with McIntyre referencing directly those reports. So I'm like, somebody leaked that on purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not whatever happened is a work. And LA Knight doing a nod at the camera too is telling me, okay, they manipulating the dirt sheet so well right now that we don't know. Kayfabe is back, baby. We
Yeah,
don't know
I love that.
we don't know. And the thing is they do kayfabe in a way that we all know what's going on. We know what we're watching, and yet they still can. Was Seth Rollins actually that mad that CM Punk came back? I have no doubt he was, but was that part of, was he playing it up? You know what I mean? Like their kayfabe is within the fact that we know it's scripted. We know that this is a performance, that it's not legitimate sports like the NFL or the NBA, but they're still keeping a kayfabe in there, and Triple H, whether it's him or somebody else, is manipulating the dirt sheets to build that kayfabe. And you see that with the Drew McIntyre LA Knight stuff coming out, because they're sitting there winking at the camera on exactly what was being said after the Royal Rumble. It's rather remarkable at how well they can keep kayfabe in 2025, given that we think we know everything about professional wrestling. It's just, it's fantastic.
I love that as well. You know, like, you brought up something a little bit ago, and I love Shinsuke Nakamura, but there's no juice around that story right now. Like, I know that, like, he's in a micro feud with LA Knight again, and I think who else was associated with that segment on SmackDown? It's such a forgettable segment. It was like LA Knight.
It was Miz. Wasn't it Miz?
Yeah, that's why. It was like, oh, it's Miz, LA Knight, and Miz, LA Knight, and Nakamura, and I'm like, God, it's a long time to Mania. I hope this like micro feud doesn't go all the way to Mania at that point, because I'm like, they're gonna burn out completely, because I don't think they're gonna heat up that feud enough. But I'm like, it feels like, okay, if you do anything with Nakamura, if he holds that title that long, triple threat between those three, you kind of get that out of the way. But then, like, you got McIntyre and Priest still lurking around. I'm not saying they're like heading towards the U.S. title scene, but I'm like, what do you do with them? What do you do with Carmelo? I'm like,
Jacob Fatu. We haven't even talked about him and Solo Sikoa. Because I think
I was gonna bring that up, but I think they're the match at Mania. It's like Jacob and Solo.
I think they and this is how it was cool. They used Cody as a narrative device. When Solo comes out and attacks, and everyone's all upset. Oh, we're running back Solo and Cody again. I'm like, no, they're building to Fatu and Solo. Like, Cody's just kind of he's a narrative piece in this one while being the main part in his story, but he's going to. I mean, we've already seen the tension when Solo accidentally gives the Samoan spike to Tama Tonga.
Yeah.
And the way that they built Fatu with using Braun Strowman is just nothing short of amazing. They build him up so well. And it's great because Braun Strowman, when he first came in, he was getting those Jacob Fatu spots where somebody would come in and they'd let Strowman squash him. Now Strowman's built all this power up, and he's able to put over these big dudes who need to look psychos. They need to look tough, whether it's a Braun Breaker or Jacob Fatu, Bronson Reed. You've built a good utility player that I have seen no signs that he's upset about playing that role. So he does such a good job at putting Fatu over. And so I think that's where we go, is we get a Fatu Solo Sikoa match.
I'm fine with that too.
And I am too. I think, and that's the hard one, because Fatu want him to be a heel. Mm-hmm. But everyone who watches that dude is like, that dude is nuts. I just want to cheer for him because he's got like Batman level stuff where he's vicious, but he's so cool doing it. And so I'm like, that's such a hard one, because I think they're clearly leaning to Sikoa starting to turn face. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, but Fatu's going to be the one that's going to be, nobody's going to boo him no matter what happens, because he's so bad. He's so cool.
It reminds me, of like the 2000s problem that TNA had with Samoa Joe, where Samoa Joe was so cool, so athletic. He was doing all this crazy stuff you didn't see from like people his size and such like that. And then like TNA had that problem. It was hard to boo Samoa Joe around that time. WWE had that problem with Samoa Joe when he came over. It was hard to boo Samoa Joe, even in the heel roles he was at. So I'm like, Fatu's in a very weird situation to where I'm like, he's so athletically gifted. He's proving himself on the mic. He's so entertaining, and he's different than any other product out there right now. As far as a wrestler goes, he's so captivating every time he's on the screen.
And he's gone from saying 4 words, "I love you, Solo," to being the fantastic on the mic. Like, it's just been so. And I mean, I know that's always been there, that they were building the intrigue around him. But man, that felt like at first it came out of nowhere, but it was so smooth that night after Solo loses to Roman, Jacob's out there and he's cutting like a vicious promo and telling them like, it's my time. It's like, all y'all need to shut up. This is my time. You don't boo me, all this stuff. And I'm like, man, this dude is so good. He is the reason that he's going, him heading toward a Braun Breaker program within the next couple of years is so exciting, because those dudes are going to put on whatever you saw between like Drew McIntyre and Sheamus and Gunther, where they were just hard-hitting matches. That's what those two are going to put on. And they had a single face-off at one point last year, and the roof came off the building. So I'm like, that tells you that we're closer to that than we think we are. That could be easily a 42-43 match, and it could main event, I think.
Okay, so we got to fill in some spots here too. So we got the Solo and Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are we thinking about for the women's World Heavyweight Championship?
That's Rhea. So
yeah, that's Rhea Ripley. So in the chamber right now, we have Naomi, Bianca, Liv Morgan. We have probably my favorite like scrappy underdog right now. Dang, I just blanked on her name. And in a feud with Bailey.
Roxanne Perez.
Roxanne, yeah. Roxanne, and then so you got Roxanne Perez, Bailey, and the rest of the people I mentioned. I'm like, who's coming out of the chamber?
So here's the thing: if you want to go narrative, I think you turn Bianca somewhere in there, and you could have a Bianca Rhea program, and that could be WrestleMania. Could be the start of that. You put on a banger of a match. That's if you're going narrative wise.
Mm-hmm.
The question is that too short of a time to make her a credible heel? I think she could do it, but it would be a tight turnaround. About a month and a half to get that done. But she turned, like you say, she turned at the Elimination Chamber. She wins it, and now she's in a program with Rhea Ripley and building herself as a heel. I could see that. That's personally, I would love to see that. That's where I would love to go.
I think that match would be spectacular too.
I kind of think if they're going to play it safe in this one, they might go Bailey. And Bailey's deserving. I like Bailey a lot. She had her chance with the other title last year. I think that would be an interesting one to go there. But I think that's a safe bet. With Charlotte's back, we haven't seen Becky in a while. Sasha Banks is over at AEW. Bailey's kind of really stepped up into that role as one of the original 4 horsewomen and really thriving in that role. So I could see them going that way, and Rhea saying, I've beaten every other member of the 4 horsewomen, which I actually don't think she's beaten Sasha Banks, but she's beaten Becky.
She's not a chance for that. Yeah.
Right, exactly. She's beaten Becky. She's beaten Charlotte. Now she's coming for Bailey. I could see that being a possible story there. So those are my 2 picks.
I think if I had to pick 2, I'm picking like you said, I'm picking Bianca, but I'm picking Roxanne because I think
that's a good one too.
Oh my goodness, because I'm like, they see so much in her, evidently. Final 2 in the Royal Rumble, broke the record. I'm like, I think they're giving her main like roster spotlight really quickly. You don't really see that. At least you don't see that very often for this level of volume. And I feel like she has it on the mic, and she's a fresh face. Unless they do Liv Morgan, which I think is going to bore people to tears. Not because Liv Morgan's a bad competitor. I think we just been there, done that. And
that rivalry between them, I see it as a Stone Cold The Rock rivalry. That you take a break off, you revisit it in a year, because that's always to me been like the polar opposites. You've got the pretty blonde girl, you've got the tall goth girl. They counteract each other the way that Stone Cold and Rock did. But we would have them. We had them 15, we had them 17, we had them 19. Mm-hmm. We never did like a full-on feud. They'd interact in between that time, but in terms of a big feud, we wouldn't see that until every other year. I could see them doing that same thing with Rhea and Liv. So I would hope they would not let Liv win it just for that reason, that Let's take some time away, let them both build, and let's come back to it 42 or 43. And you blow the roof off again at that point. But now we need a break from it.
Yeah, we really do. We really do. Have we missed any other big names? What about Logan Paul? Do you feel where does he fall in the equation?
He's gonna sneak his way into some kind of like U.S. title match or something like that. I don't know.
I hate that I'm reading it might be Logan Paul versus Punk.
Oh my gosh. I hope not. Just because. And here's the thing, Logan Paul, in terms of a celebrity wrestler, is one of the better ones. I argue that him and Bad Bunny are kind of on a different level of celebrity wrestlers.
Bad Bunny and Stephen Amell, I think, did a really good job.
Yeah, and it's because they actually seem to put the time into it, and the fact that they made him such an obnoxious. You already don't like the Paul brothers, so make him a heel, and you just got perfection with that. They know what their audience wants with that, and when they were trying to push him as a face, I'm like, no, like we want to boo the Paul brothers.
Yeah.
So don't put Logan as a face. They turn him into this cocky heel. Man, was I like hating on him in the Royal Rumble, which means he's doing his job really well. So I see him. I don't want to see him with Punk, but I could see it happening though. Is the problem?
That's the same. I'm like right there because I'm like I feel like WWE, especially Trip, would love to have his cake and eat it too, where he can have the I guess the culmination of the Seth versus Roman story, and also have Logan Paul prime with CM Punk, who's someone who can carry a lot of people into a great match. Not that I'd say Logan Paul needs carrying, because he's actually a really good in-ring competitor, but like they both can talk on the mic, so the build-up is kind of innately there. But yeah, it's just they need something to do, and I'm like, I feel like if you're Trip, what do you do about Logan Paul there? Do you throw him in the United States situation? He's already won that title. Not necessarily the most intriguing thing there. So, do you throw Punk in there since Punk's kind of the odd man out of the Shield story?
Yeah, I don't want to do that, but the more I see it, I'll give it a couple weeks. Let's see where we go out of the Elimination Chamber. But as it sits right now, it looks like we might be heading toward that. But a lot can happen. That Elimination Chamber is stacked. There's a lot we could go from there. But I think once that settles and we see who's going with Cody, we're going to see what's going to happen, because there's going to be some chicanery. There's going to be some stuff going on in the Elimination Chamber. That'll fill out some of these other spots here that we'll have a better idea. Because Roman Reigns isn't in the Elimination Chamber, but I would be shocked if he doesn't interfere in some way, get even with Rollins for the ending to the Royal Rumble for him. I don't know, but I see that as a way to get Roman back involved with Rollins.
I'm going to throw a hypothetical storyline at you. You give me the thumbs up, you give me the thumbs down. It's Elimination Chamber time. The final three are Cena, Seth Rollins, and not Roman Reigns, and Punk. And Punk gets hit with the stomp, but Cena picks Cena and Seth are battling out, not capitalizing. And CM Punk waves his arms like towards the little thing, and the favor's been called in. Roman comes in, spears Rollins and/or John Cena, cashes in that favor, and he's the one who goes on to face Cody. So it's Punk Cody, and then Rollins got cost by Roman, a title shot. They go on to Mania. Cena's on the outside looking in. He probably faces Logan Paul. The story's very rushed, but it fits. It gives 3 different chapters of places. It kind of fills in 3 different slots there.
I like the result. I agree with you. I think the story's a little rushed, but I could see a Cody and Punk program. I could see. I've already said a Reigns and Rollins program. I could see a Cena and Paul, and all of that's been teased right now. The only reason why I worry about Cena is if you're trying to keep the story, you only got a year to tell it. I do think, though, because what you could do in that case is if he doesn't go for Cody in that moment and you still have him chasing that title shot, have him win King of the Ring, and he can get that at SummerSlam, and then he's
never won King of the Ring either.
Yeah, and that gives you the title shot. That gives you an opportunity to get there, because if I'm looking at Cena, the way he's playing this, unless we're moving toward a heel Cena, which I don't see us doing on his last year, I see him wanting to earn it. He's not going to want to cash in Money in the Bank. He's always been about the hustle, loyalty, respect. He's going to now. The only question we have is how he just put himself into the Elimination Chamber. What is that? Is that just storyline because he doesn't have the time to be on Raw or SmackDown regularly to get there? Is that a turn in his character? I don't
It
know.
could just be a throwaway line, that's never explained too.
And we're, as wrestling fans from the Vince era, we're totally used to that. They throw something in and we don't ever get it paid off. And the thing is I'm okay with that. But if he's going to win, he's going to want to earn it. So that's why I see if he doesn't earn it this time, he goes to King of the Ring, and that's where he gets it, and he gets his title shot at SummerSlam, and then we go from there. But if you do that way, whether it's that story you lined out or not, if you get that result, I would be okay with all three of those matchups. And I think that's a good one, especially a Punk Cody, because they tease that, and every time those two get together, it is fantastic. The
Magic.
chemistry between those two and the fact that we've only gotten that really twice in a promo segment means that if you throw that at us, that's going to intrigue the heck out of everyone because we've got bits of it, but we haven't gotten enough of a program to see what that would look like. But I think that's a great spot to go if you put Punk and Cody there. So I would be okay with that because that's the thing. I'm not set with Cena and Cody. That's where I could see it going, but I'd be down for a Punk Cody match.
Yeah, I think like the reason why I gave my scenario is because like one, it cashes in Punk's favor, and it also like it furthers that rift of like Roman versus Seth Rollins and what Seth did, and it's also payback for what Seth did to him at the Royal Rumble with the stomp. So I'm like, it kind of fulfills all three of those roles and gets them into that program heading to Mania. So I'm like, not that there's so much history there, they don't need much. So I'm like, that story sort of writes itself. But like, you gotta get one, you either gotta get Punk or Cena into that. I think like those are the only two other realistic possibilities out of the actual Elimination Chamber. Anybody else, I'd be absolutely shocked. Like, so I'm like, I feel like you have to get whoever wins that chamber. I feel like is not gonna win clean by some hook or by crook way. Like Cody's facing someone who didn't win clean in the chamber.
And like you said, that would give more credence to CM Punk's favor.
Yeah.
And this could continue this feud. Again, like I said, you got multiple storylines running through each other. Rollins has now more reason to be mad at Punk.
Yeah, for sure.
And that builds what's been brewing for the last year and a half since Punk has come back. So you've got, you're going to have the immediate with Rollins and Roman, but then you still are building toward whatever that Rollins and Punk showdown happens, which they've done a good job at not throwing that in our face. They give us a piece, go to the back burner. Give us another piece, go to the back burner. That I'm not tired of that. So if you do that, you can come back to that after the Reigns and Rollins, because Reigns and Rollins is another one of those rivalries that's been going on for 10 years, and everyone's all here for it. So I'd be cool with that. I'd be cool that we see, if that's the way that the favors cashed in, that would be a good use of it, because that would put Punk in it cleanly, but like it's just Cody and Punk. He's not sharing the spotlight. He's not saying, "Oh, Rollins and Romans, you're having your match. Well, guess what? I'm here too." Like that feels, doing it that way feels like a Vince McMahon being the higher power reveal. Just kind of a letdown.
It does. It really does. So let me ask you: do you have any other things you want to talk about with WWE going right now, or any other like Mania predictions?
No, man, we covered it. I feel like I just came out of a buffet. I just got all these thoughts out that I've been holding on. See, that's the thing. I don't have anyone to talk to. Everyone at Boss Rush, some of them know a little bit about wrestling, but not to the level that I do. So I just sit there. I sit on it. My students look at me like, you like that fake fighting? I'm like, listen, it's not fake fighting. And then I go off on this whole thing, and they're just annoyed that Mr. Martinez won't shut up. But so no, I feel like I just went through an all-you-can-eat buffet, so I am happy.
Love that. I absolutely love that. So you're part of the Boss Rush Network. Big game insight. Love the work you do there. Talk to Ed all the time about all the great work you do over there. I want to pivot to the game side. What have you been playing lately?
So I've been doing. So we talked a while ago when you came on the Boss Rush podcast with Ed, and I've mentioned that for my whole life, I've always had a Nintendo console. Up until about 3 years ago, I got my first Sony console. I have a PlayStation 5, so I've been playing a lot of the Sony backlog. One that I just beat a week and a half ago was The Shadow of the Colossus. Had never played that one. I didn't know what to expect. I had heard some comparisons to The Legend of Zelda, which is a favorite franchise of mine, in terms of the environmental puzzle solving. And I walked out of that, and I don't mean not in a bad way, but I was like, I don't know what to make of what I just played. Like, it was a lot of fun, and the story was interesting, the ending was really interesting, but it was I never played the original Colossus. So I played the PS4 remake of it, and so that was my first time experiencing that, and it was one of those ones that I just walked out like, I enjoyed my time, but I still don't know what I thought about that game. It's just I've been kind of brewing on it for the last 2 weeks. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I love environmental puzzle solving. It's why I love Zelda games. So that was a fun aspect of it. But I mean, it was like a little shorter. There was parts that I needed a guy. I'm at a point in my life where I don't do the stress with games very well right now. I come home and I just want to do something. So most of my games are set to easy. Maybe I'll get to a point where I can go back up to normal or hard modes. But right now I'm like, I get too frustrated at games. I can't, I can't play.
You want the relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you mean.
It's why I love playing story-focused games like RPGs, action adventures. Those are really where I hit my niche. So I beat Colossus. I did just barely beat the Final Fantasy II Pixel Remaster.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, that's the one. It's a weird one because the combat is the leveling so weird. It's you rather than having a traditional leveling system, your items and your spells have levels, and you grow them as much as you use them. So if you're using primarily sword attacks, you're going to grow your sword level, but not your spells because you're using sword attacks. So that was weird, but in terms of looking at the Final Fantasy franchise as a whole, a lot of people credit 4 with where the narrative started, but I was actually surprised to see what 2 was able to do narratively for being an NES game. Like, it was bare bones. It was very simple story, but the fact that they tried to put a narrative in there that dealt with death was like impressive to me. So it was.
Okay.
I was talking to one of our writers named Block. Who's a big Final Fantasy fan, and I was telling him, I'm like, I really feel like 2 crawled so that 4 could run in terms of narrative. So it was a weird one. It's probably close to the bottom of my personal rankings.
Okay.
But I enjoyed my time with it. I didn't hate it. I did not like the leveling system. That was a headache to deal with to try and figure out because I just want my normal leveling of I beat all these enemies, get me to level 30, rather than my sword's level 10, but this spell is level 4, and it was too much for me in that way. So good narrative, tough gameplay. So lastly, I'm relaxing with some Pokemon Snap right now.
Oh. Are you enjoying it?
I am. So I played the original one on the N64 growing up. I liked it. Part of my background, I've done journalism. I've also done photography for newspapers. So I enjoy photography, period. So putting on Pokemon Snap, it's a relaxing game to me. After I beat Colossus and Final Fantasy II, it's been nice to just have a game that I can just go and just play. Because I've got some more. I plan to get into Uncharted 2, and I plan to start Dragon Quest 11 soon. But I've been wanting just a chill game to maybe get through this week.
I love the Uncharted series. Especially 2 is maybe my least favorite of the bunch, but I liked it still. But I love 3. 4. I think my order is, oddly enough, probably 3, 4, 1, and 2.
So I played 1. I'm going in order. I have the original, the Drake's Fortune, or the Drake's Collection. So the first 3 games. I played 1 last year. It was okay. It wasn't terrible. Wasn't amazing either, I thought, but it was fun. And so I've heard very good things about 2 and 3 and 4, honestly. So I'm ready to get back into that. So, I mean, I've got some more narrative-focused, more intensive games. I played the first 2 Tomb Raiders of the reboot trilogy,
Okay.
and those were fun. And I know that they said there's some similarities to Uncharted with that reboot saga. So I really enjoyed both of those games. So I am excited to get back in Uncharted because again, that's a franchise I never touched until last year. So yeah,
You mostly
that's what
play it
I've
right
been doing.
now on your Switch and PS5, right?
That's all I have. I don't
Okay.
have an Xbox. Um, I've had the Switch longer, and the PS5 I got 3 years ago. I was doing PS Plus until I discovered that my local library has all kinds of games that I don't
Mhm.
really need a PS Plus account anymore. So I've went the way of the library. And a guy that I went to church with growing up, he works at our local library, so he usually kind of sets things aside for me if
That's
I ask
great.
him to. So yeah, I've got it in with the library. I plan to get into God of War because I have never played
Love
a
it.
God of War game. So I want to do 2018, and that's at our library has that. So that's on my horizon too. Man, I've got so much in a backlog that I've been trying to get through. That
Don't we all? Don't we all? But
right?
man, 2018 God of War is probably one of my favorite games of all time. At least in my top 10 off the top of my head. But oh, I love that game. And it'll probably hit harder for you as a parent, you know.
hmm And that's the thing. I found that the older I've gotten, the older my kids have gotten, things, whether it's video games or other story, they hit hard. Like there was a moment in Final Fantasy 2 where a kid lost their dad and I'm like, oh no, I'm getting hit with a pixel game. I'm like, there, it's tugging at the heartstrings in a way that 10 years ago wouldn't have. So it's
Yeah.
just I found it cool that no matter where you're at with games, media in general, it hits you at different points of your life. So where you're at in life, a game can hit you a lot differently than it might have 10, 20 years ago. And that's always been the case I've noticed. So yeah, I mean I'm sure God of War is gonna hit me differently now that I'm a parent of 3 kids. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it is. It's such a good game. It's one that I'm excited for you to play for the first time because that would probably be one of the small list of games that where if I can forget it to replay it all over again for the first time, I'd probably do that. Just pivoting a little bit, like I wanted to talk about like bringing this back to WWE and also gaming. WWE 2K25 is coming out. Josh, we've been talking for a little bit. I want to ask you just 3 questions before we go. The
Okay.
3 magic questions. I know it's getting late over there. So first question: top five, 5 time, 5 time, 5 time, 5 time games of all time or wrestlers of all time. You get to choose. Which one you gonna do?
Let's go games because we've talked a
Okay.
lot about wrestling today. Hint: if I did wrestlers, number one to The Rock,
The
Attitude
final
Era
boss.
Rock.
Yeah.
I mean, Final Boss Rock. Anyway, I'm going to go in no particular order because the order changes.
Did you say Attitude Rock is number 1 for you?
Yeah, because
Like
that's what
that
I grew up
variation?
on. I would say heel 98, 99 Rock. I really liked that version.
Corporate Rock.
I liked Just Bring It Rock. He was good. I like Hollywood Rock. Final Boss Rock is really good. But there was something just, and I think it's Royal Rumble 99 in that match where he hit McFoley way too much in the head.
Like 20 times over the hit with the steel chair.
But the way that, if you take away the very serious CTE concerns in that, the way that there's a bloodied Mick Foley on the floor, passed out, and Corporate Rocks spreads his legs, stands over him, holds up the title. I'm like, that is a bad man right there.
It
That
is.
is and for me, as much as I've played football. I'm very close to football. I know what CTE does to you. As much as it's very cringeworthy to watch that match, given what we know today about head injuries, the way that The Rock played his heel role in that is just
Masterful.
it's not this, and I say this with all love to Dirty Dom. It's not the Dirty Dom version of a heel. That's a straight up, I'd say Kevin Owens is nearing that level of villainy with him hitting those package pile drivers on everyone.
Yeah.
Just it's like it's a nasty heel. It's almost like Edge was in 2006. That heel that you're just like, this guy is just a bad man.
The vilest of vile humans. And Triple H was probably the person that I grew up with. It was like, oh, this is the scum of the earth. JR was cussing him out, calling him all sorts of names. Oh, I love it.
My favorite YouTube video is where I think it's like called JR Really Hates Triple H, and it's just a 30-second montage of him just cussing out Triple H. So yeah, no, but That I would say that early 99, late 98 Rock
Okay.
is my favorite. But the problem is I just really like The Rock from about 98 to 2003. Just all
Same
of
here.
that he was about was just, he's the reason. And I wasn't, here's my thing. I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling much as a kid because of what they were doing in the Attitude Era. I'm
Mhm.
younger. 2000, I turned 10 in 2001. So I was younger when the Attitude Era was running. So 98, I was 7. So my parents aren't wanting me to run around doing crotch chops and suck it or
Yelling,
anything like that. And and I don't blame them. I now that I have kids about that age, I don't know if I'd want my kids doing that. Yeah, but The Rock was one of those ones. There was like 4 wrestlers that just transcended. Even if you didn't watch weekly, you knew who they were. The
Mhm.
Rock was the one, and I just gravitated to him. I always really liked him. Stone Cold was the other, at least at my school in Los Angeles. Undertaker and then Sting. Those were the 4 that just transcended.
Oh.
I knew who all 4 of those were growing up, despite never watching Nitro, never watching Raw. I put on SmackDown one time with my parents, and because my dad's like, well, we'll let you make the choice. Early on, I have no idea who it was, but there's a woman ringside wrestler. She's laughing at a wrestler. The male wrestler comes over, takes her shorts down, slaps her on the behind, pulls her shorts up, and my dad's like, yeah, we're done with this first. So I'm like, oh, but that was attitude. That was like regular Attitude Era stuff. So, I mean, again, I don't blame them because as a parent, I don't know if I'd let my kids anywhere near that. But as an adult, I'm like, man, they were just wild back then.
They were unfiltered.
But Rock was from that era, just transcended that. And then seeing him in movies, pretty early, Scorpion King, Mummy 2, stuff like that, even
The
though they
rundown.
weren't the Tooth Fairy.
That was a good one too.
So, yeah, I mean, Rock was just one I grew up with as a kid and knew enough about him without watching the show. So, anyway, top 5 video games. Ocarina of Time, Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal. I'm just going to take all of Gen 2.
Okay, that's good.
They're all pretty much the same game. Let's see. Twilight Princess. So, 2 Zelda games in my
I was
top
just
5.
about to say that's like 2 Zelda games cracked the top 5. Okay.
Let's see. So, there's 3. Original Paper Mario, the one from
Okay.
2000 on the N64. I think that one and Pokemon are the ones that made me fall in love with RPGs without realizing I liked RPGs.
Okay.
So, number 5, I think I'm going to say Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Donna.
I've never
That-
played a Ys game. Are they great?
If you like Zelda, so it's like if Zelda became an action RPG. So, I mean, we could go into the technical differences.
Are they
between
turn-based
action.
though?
No, it's action based,
Okay.
but you level your character. There's a skill tree, like certain weapons work on other things. 8 was good because it was such a weird story. And I grew up, I'm a big fan of Lost, the TV show.
Okay.
And Ys 8 had a very Lost feel. The whole premise is the main character gets stranded on an island. It's very anime because it's Falcom, and Falcom loves its anime.
I love anime,
So,
so
Yeah,
that's great.
so it's very much an shonen anime type game, but it's, I guess, an anime version of Lost. You're figuring out what makes this island so mysterious. You've got dueling protagonists, one from the past, and then your current one, and you're just, all in all, after I ended it, I'm like, man, I really like this game. I would say if I'm going a modern game, there's either that one or Horizon Zero Dawn. I really
love
like Zero Dawn.
Love me some Zero Dawn.
So there's 6. I would say those 2, Ys 8 and Zero Dawn, are tied
So
for 5th.
Ys 8 specifically, is that a good starting point for the series?
I think so. It's my first one.
Okay.
There's some other ones. So the older games, this series has been around since the 80s. It's one of those like low-key unknown RPG franchises.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It looks like there's 13 of these bad boys.
Yeah, so 10 just came out. And then there's some crazy history. Like there's 2 versions of 4 that were made by different developers. There's some confusing, but if you want to get into the gist of this game, say it's a good starting point. Ys 7 was also popular. Memories of Celceta is a remake of a PSP game.
Okay.
Or a Vita game. I'm trying to remember which one that one was on. But those ones, 7, Celceta, and 8 kind of are what the franchise is now. A lot more modern elements to it. Anything prior to that is going to lean more to what the franchise used to be, albeit not that different. They really turned a point, I would say, with 7 and 8.
Are they
8
huge
being
RPGs, or are they kind of smaller scale? Or this is like 80 hours?
No, it's so 8. I think How Long to Beat has the main story at just under 30 hours.
Okay, that's reasonable.
But if you do side quests, I think you could push up to 40, 50, 60 hours. But Celceta, for example, a lot of people complain that it was too short, and I think a lot of people beat that in under 30 hours, even with side quests. So they kind of range. I beat 9 recently, and that one I spent 80 hours, but I've learned that the older I get, I fall asleep. So I'm like, I think at least 20 of those hours are me sleeping.
That's funny.
I'll start playing. So my PlayStation, it has me playing these games for forever. And I'm like, I know I don't play the game that long. I just know that it hits like 10:30, 11, and I just pass out. And next thing I know, it's like 1 in the morning. And I'm like, oh, I just logged 2 hours, but I'm sleeping.
Controller dead as a doorknob.
Yeah, I was plugging in my controller every night for a while there. So, and that was because I'm new to teaching. So mentally I'm drained. I sit down, I play, get 45 minutes in. Boom, out.
That is funny.
So lately, my play times have been very skewed, and I don't know. I guess I haven't had my PlayStation set up to fall asleep quickly because it's on still when I'm waking up 2 hours later. So it's straight up, and it's always I fall asleep in like the city portion, so nobody's killing me. So I'm just standing there, and so it says I played it for 88 hours, but I'm pretty sure I beat the game in under 60. So it's one of those ones, if you just go for the main story, probably get it done in 30 or less hours. And it's fun. I enjoyed it, so I recommend it.
Okay. Second to the last question. What is your single player video game recommendation for the episode? Is it?
Yeah, let's go with that. 8. 9 and 10 are more recent, but if you're looking to really get into it, see what this franchise is about, see what they could do, I think 8 is better than 9. I haven't played 10 yet, so I can't judge that, but I've heard very good things about 10. But Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Donna, it's constantly on sale. It's a PS4 game. I mean, I think I grabbed it for like $12 on the Nintendo eShop. It's constantly on sale, so watch out for that. You could get it probably for less than $10 at some point, so it's worth every penny.
All right, my last final question. Where can they find Josh, the Brahma Bull Martinez? Where can the good people find you?
So, like I said, like you mentioned, head over to bossrush.net. You'll find a lot of the work from our amazing writers, myself. I know you had David Lasby on a couple of weeks ago, so come check us out over there. I don't know why I do it to myself, but I'm still on Twitter. I think I'm clinging to what Twitter once was, and it's not. And also, I'm like, do I really want to go build? Well, I'm like, do I really want to go build another account? Not really. So you can find me on Twitter, jmartinez064, tweeting about my wrestling thoughts into the wind, tweeting my wrestling thoughts amid a sea of hate and everything else that's on Twitter right now. So I'm over there. Boss Rush, probably the best 2 places to catch me. So,
all right, Josh, man, thank you so much for doing this. I know we've run a little long, but I very much loved having this conversation with you.
This was a blast, and I felt bad. I felt like I was taking too long sometimes too, but no, blast. It's only 10 o'clock. I don't normally fall asleep at the controller till 10, but we good.
Okay. I was just trying to be cognizant for you, man. But no, it is such a great time having you on. Next time we gotta talk, gotta catch up on all things wrestling, because I need that outlet too. If I'm being honest, my wife does not watch at all, so I need that outlet as well. But thank you so much for doing this, everyone. This has been the Single Player Experience, your premium podcast where you can find out good single player games to play. You can find out about all things happening with single player games. Keep an eye out because we're dropping episodes weekly. I've been Sebastian. That's been Josh, the Brahma Bull Martinez. Until next time, stay safe, stay gaming, and enjoy that single player experience. We out, y'all. Bye.
We out.
Yeah. It's a single player experience. Sebastian on the mic, we keep it fun and delirious. Talking about the games we love, the ones that make you smile. From the classics to the new drops, we running them out. Indie gems on the rise, big titles in the mix. Ranking all the legends, see who really getting picked. Gaming news, reviews, and debates we discuss. From PlayStation to Xbox, it's the culture we trust. On the Steam Deck I'm moving, playing on the go. PlayStation be the wave, and Xbox steady with the flow. But the Switch, we respected those exclusives shine bright. Still don't play it much, but Zelda and Mario are tight. Sebastian got the right single player in his soul. He's got you playing games that'll make you lose control. From The Last of Us to Cyberpunk, we vibe. Getting lost in these worlds, man, we're feeling so alive. So listen up, we break it down every week. Game and debates, no holds barred, we speak. Say single player experience. It's more than just play, it's where we talk about games and vibe in every way. Let's get it. Single player experience, Sebastian got the helms, talking all the sagas from the kingdoms to realms. Day one with the console spawn point for your news. Tune in to this podcast for rankings and reviews. Hey, it's a single player experience, we on that grind. Sebastian on the mic, got that game on his mind. Racing on that GTA 4 so we never fall behind. On that Red Dead Redemption, we outlaws by design. We got that EA mindset, y'all, it's in the game. On that GTA hard, swinging lane to lane. All W's all day on Hall of Fame. NBA 2K, just one more turn. Civilization got me playing all day. With guys like Luffy, I'm a warrior in the sea. The last of us, Ellie and Joel, pulling my heartstrings. Got that persona mentality, all is not what it seems. Playing Kojima games, wondering what does this even mean. Single player experience, Sebastian got the helms, talking all the sagas from the kingdoms to realms. Day one with the console spawn point for your news. Tune in to this podcast for rankings and reviews. Gotta go a cradle swinging that ass on that Ballatro hard, always bet on the blast. Halo on the Xbox, Master Chief, we making the attack. With that retro gaming vibe, always running it back. Batman in the shadows, we fight for the night. From Night City, Cyberpunk to college football highlights. We got the Steam Deck rolling, always ready to play. From Hades to Yakuza, we out here all day. I'm on the PlayStation 5, got the power in my hands. Xbox Series X, that's where the future stands. Nintendo Switch, what's wrong with you fans? Steam Deck rolling everywhere in demand. Single player experience, Sebastian got the helms, talking all the sagas from the kingdoms to realms. Day one with the console spawn point for your news. Tune in to this podcast for rankings and reviews. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah. Let's get it. Yeah. It's a single player experience. Sebastian on the mic, we keep it fun and delirious. Talking about the games we love, the ones that make you smile. From the classics to the new drops, we running them out. Indie gems on the rise, big titles in the mix. Ranking all the legends, see who really getting picked. Gaming news, reviews, and debates we discuss. From PlayStation to Xbox, it's the culture we trust. On the Steam Deck, I'm moving, playing on the go. PlayStation be the wave, Xbox steady with the flow. But the Switch, we respected those exclusive shine bright. Still don't play it much, but Zelda and Mario are tight. Sebastian got the wreck, single player in his soul. He's got you playing games that'll make you lose control. From The Last of Us to Cyberpunk, we vibe. Getting lost in these worlds, man, we're feeling so alive. So listen up, we break it down every week. Game and debates, no holds barred, we speak. Single player experience, it's more than just play. It's where we talk about games and vibe in every way. Let's get it. Single player experience, Sebastian got the helms, talking all the sagas from the kingdoms to realms. Day one with the console spawn point for your news. Tune in to this podcast for rankings and reviews. Hey, it's a single player experience, we on that grind. Sebastian on the mic, got that game on his mind. Racing on that GTA 4 so we never fall behind. On that Red Dead Redemption, we outlaws by design. We got that EA mindset, y'all, it's in the game. On that GTA hard, swinging lane to lane. All W's all day on Hall of Fame. NBA 2K, just one more turn. Civilization got me playing all day. With guys like Luffy, I'm a warrior in the sea. The last of us, Ellie and Joel, pulling my heartstrings. Got that persona mentality, all is not what it seems. Playing Kojima games, wondering what does this even mean. Single player experience, Sebastian got the helms, talking all the sagas from the kingdoms to realms. Day one with the console spawn point for your news. Tune in to this podcast for rankings and reviews. Gotta go a cradle swinging that ass on that Ballatro hard, always bet on the blast. Halo on the Xbox, Master Chief, we making the attack. With that retro gaming vibe, always running it back. Batman in the shadows, we fight for the night. From Night City, Cyberpunk to college football highlights. We got the Steam Deck rolling, always ready to play. From Hades to Yakuza, we out here all day. I'm on the PlayStation 5, got the power in my hands. Xbox Series X, that's where the future stands. Nintendo Switch, what's wrong with you fans? Steam Deck rolling everywhere in demand. Single player experience, Sebastian got the helms, talking all the sagas from the kingdoms to realms. Day one with the console spawn point for your news. Tune in to this podcast for rankings and reviews. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah. Let's get it.